What is up, everybody? I'm Jeff McCrum. I watch MMA sometimes. Whew, what a night UFC 317 was. Holy moly. This was the event we all hoped it could be, and it delivered in a huge way. Ilia Topuria, El Matador, goes in there. He called his shot. He held the victory party the night before. He knew he was going to knock out Charles Oliveira in the first round. Even if some people, including me, thought Oliveira was going to be too much for him at lightweight, I was dead wrong. I don't know ball. Ilia Topuria is a beast. He goes in there, separates Oliveira from consciousness. What next? I mean, Paddy Pimblett entered the cage after the fight. That would be a massive, massive promotional boon for the UFC if they could make that fight happen. Paddy Pimblett's not the most deserving contender. I was impressed with his victory over Michael Chandler, but Michael Chandler is not the Michael Chandler he was a few years ago. He beat Bobby Green in a very impressive manner, but same thing with Bobby Green. But I'm hard pressed to say the UFC would be wrong to make this fight. I mean, look, I'm gonna watch Ilia Topuria fight anybody. If you told me it's Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje, I'm seated. If you told me it's Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan, I'm seated. In a perfect world, the match I make is Ilia versus Pimblett, headlining Madison Square Garden, because it deserves a venue like MSG. Give me Arman Tsarukyan and Justin Gaethje as the co-main event, or like third from the top, make it 5 rounds. Winner gets the title shot. I know we have Islam up at 170 now, but if Islam wins the title at 170, I want Islam to fight 170 pounders. If he loses, then maybe you can have Islam come down and fight Ilia as well. But man, the division is so exciting right now. Ilia Topuria has just injected a huge dose of chaos into the UFC's lightweight division, becomes the 10th fighter to win titles in two different weight classes. He's only 28 years old. I think he has the potential to be Conor McGregor without the proclivities. He's arguably already a better fighter than McGregor because I think he's already showed wrestling skill and takedown defense and ground skill that we never saw from Conor, even in his prime. Like, I think Topuria, as long as he wants to, if he keeps winning fights and wants to do the crossover stuff, wants to get into boxing, wants to do becomes a big name like Connor did. He's still not quite at that level yet as far as being a name, but he's a couple of more knockouts away from being that. And he's going to be huge for the international market, huge for the country of Spain. If they can somehow do a big Spanish stadium show, have him fight at Real Madrid's football stadium, something like that. UFC doesn't like to do stuff like that, but as someone who wants to see big things, big events, I would absolutely love to see it. As for Charles Oliveira, it sucks to see a guy go out like that. I am not gonna lie, I'm a huge Charles Oliveira stan. I remember when Charles Oliveira debuted in the UFC in 2010, co-main event of UFC Fight Night, Mark Ward versus Paul Harris in Austin, Texas. He was an underdog to Efrain Escudero coming in on short notice, I believe. Choked out Efrain Escudero, and ever since then, I've just loved watching Oliveira fight and seeing him go from fun action fighter who would, kind of fold quickly, be kind of a glass cannon, into a guy who is lethal on the feet, lethal on the ground, has heart, comes back from getting rocked and beats guys like Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler. It's been a treat to watch Charles Oliveira evolve into the fighter that he's become. And I'd still love to watch him fight anybody in the division. If Max Holloway beats Poirier, that rematch would be tons of fun. Love to see him fight anybody at 155. Just Just give him good fights. But yeah, it sucked to see, but that just shows how good of a fighter Ilia Topuria is. I can't be too mad at it. It is what it is. Co-main event, Alexandre Pantoja chokes out Kai Kara France in the third round. Kara France had a few moments here and there, mostly in the second round, but Alexandre Pantoja, he showed that there's levels to this game. He looked amazing. He's been on a tear since he defeated Brandon Moreno for the flyweight title 2 years ago. In 2 years, he has 4 title defenses along with winning the title. That's 5 wins in title fights. This dude is on an insane clip. He's 35 years old, but he keeps getting better with age, which is rare in the lighter weight classes. And talking about the fight third from the top, Joshua Van, the number 12 ranked kid, 23 years old, took this fight on 3 weeks' notice, beat Brandon Royval in a fight of the year contender. It's my fight of the year for sure, going through everything that we've seen so far this year. Pantoja versus Van. That's the fight, man. I'm more excited for this fight than any other flyweight title fight since Cejudo versus Dillashaw in 2019, when TJ Dillashaw moved down from bantamweight as the bantamweight champion to fight Henry Cejudo. This is the most exciting title fight since then, and that was 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago. Um, Joshua Van, he has the potential to be the second youngest champion ever behind John Jones. He gets better with every fight. I do think Pantoja is going to be too much too soon, but I thought Royval was going to be too much too soon, and he proved everybody wrong. Those oblique kicks. Oh my God, that's just disgusting, but it's fully legal to hit someone with a side kick to the oblique like that. And I mean, it's very similar to John Jones. That's a John Jones technique. Uh man, I loved the Van Royval fight. And I loved the Pantoja KKF fight too. Pantoja just showing that there's levels to this game. Like I said, Pantoja versus Van. If the UFC is smart, they will put more promotional muscle behind that fight than they do for most flyweight title fights because it deserves it. And I think Joshua Van has a story that people can get behind. 23 years old, almost 24. He's he's an immigrant from Myanmar, um, fighting for his family. After his last fight, he won the $50,000 bonus and immediately bought his mom a house. Like, this is just a good story. And also, you have on the other side Pantoja just building this resume at flyweight. I said in the last video, no one's going to come close to Mighty Mouse's legacy of title defenses, most likely, but Pantoja is beating his record, is going to come close to beating his record for wins and for finishes. And after Van, if Van can't beat him, you look at who's left in the division for him to fight. It's looking like slim pickings. UFC has Kyoji Horiguchi back. That would be a great fight. I would love to see that. Kyoji Horiguchi is a beast. Tatsuro Taira, Mr. I'm Happy Thank You. Love him too. He barely lost to Brandon Royval. Many people thought he won. He's going to be up there. Manel Kape, very exciting fighter, but he's a head case. He pulls out of so many fights. He's a wild man and a wild card. It's going to be really fascinating to see the flyweight division going forward. But for now, we have Pantoja Van, and I think everybody's really excited about that. Uh, Going to the rest of the main card, we had Beneil Dariush defeat Renato Moicano. And I was partially right. I thought Moicano was going to find Beneil's chin, and he did in the first round, but Beneil fought through it and took the rest of the fight, won a 29-28, pretty clear unanimous decision. Just keep Beneil in the top 10, keep him fighting tough guys. Love to see him fight a Rafael Fiziev or a Mateusz Gamrot or Michael Chandler. There's plenty of exciting fights for Beneil in the division still. silver fox that he is coming out there with his gray hair. Looks a lot older than he actually is. He's only 36. Opening fight of the main card, excellent, excellent fight between Peyton Talbot and Felipe Lima. They went to war for all 3 rounds. Couldn't have asked for a better main card opener. It was definitely on the short list for fight of the night until Royval and Van put on an absolute war. Peyton Talbot, his obituary was written too prematurely by a lot of people, me included. I thought that this matchup favored Felipe Lima. It felt like the UFC was matching Talbot tough after that loss to Raoni Barcelos, but Talbot proved that he's still a prospect worth paying attention to. Looked very good in that fight. Called out Adrian Yanez afterwards. That would be a really fun fight. Just keep building him up slowly. Keep letting him fight guys on the fringes of the top 15. And yeah, I think I could definitely see him being a top 10 fighter in the foreseeable future. Going to the prelims, Gregory Hobocop Rodriguez destroys Jack Hermanson in the first round. Late stoppage by Herb Dean. That extra shot was not super necessary, but you can't blame Rodriguez for doing it because we've seen on so many occasions guys get dropped and then the referee says, no, y'all got to keep fighting. And then the guy somehow recovers and you are told to keep punching until the ref pulls you off. Keep the submission on until the ref pulls you off because we've seen so many instances where something gets let go prematurely or a guy drops a guy and doesn't follow up and then the fight doesn't end and then somebody loses in humiliating fashion. So Hobocop did what he had to do. I'd love to watch him fight anybody in the middleweight division. The dude is a menace. Joe Pyfer, I've seen that fight suggested. That would be a really fun fight. I would like to see him. Hobocop versus Izzy. That's not a big enough name for Izzy to want to fight, probably, but that'd be a cool ass matchup. I don't know. He's not even in the top 15 yet, though. We got to see him get some more wins, but man, I love watching Hobocop. His fighting style. He's either knocking someone out very quickly or, kind of gassing out. But man, he is must-see TV at middleweight. We had Tracy Cortez defeat Viviane Araujo. That was a better fight than I expected. Everybody and their mother knew that fight was going to go to a decision. Neither of those ladies really finish anybody, but Tracy Cortez fought hard and she called out wanting to fight at Noche UFC in September in San Antonio. Everybody would love to see that. Her versus Alexa Grasso, battle of two Mexicans. We would love to see that. And shout out to her for having the balls to talk directly to the Mexican people with what's going on in our country right now, doing it entirely in Spanish. That it takes a lot of balls in today's environment and in the UFC being the way that it is right now. You know what I'm talking about. So shout out to you, Tracy Cortez. You are a brave person. Jose Delgado knocked out Hyder Emil in less than a minute. Yeah, I called that one completely wrong. Hyder Emil, I had a lot of respect for his game. I still do, but Delgado, man, he's got power and precision, and he found Hyder Emil's chin right away. Definitely a name to watch at 145. Trains out of the MMA lab, one of the best teams in the country. Arizona always turns out killers in the UFC. Definitely one to watch at 145 pounds. At lightweight, Terrence McKinney versus Slava Claus Vyacheslav Borshow. We all knew how this one was going to go. It was going to end quickly and violently, no matter how it was going to end. Terrence McKinney chokes out Slava Claus, has him kicking his legs. He stayed in that choke for a very long time. I'll give him credit for his toughness, but yeah, he had to tap. We all know when T-Rex goes in there, it's kill or be killed. That night it was kill. Yeah, give him just give him more exciting matchups at 155, and we'll see if he can keep finishing people because he's won his last three, I believe. So definitely a name you want to keep around. Definitely a fun person to have on any given fight night. Someone to pay attention to. We had Jacoby Smith defeat Nico Price. Jacoby Smith should not have been a minus 3,000 favorite. That was the inflation by the odds makers was way, 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 way too high. He looked like he gassed himself out, especially after the first round. But Nico Price just didn't have enough in the tank to make it tough for him after he gassed out. And Nico looked gassed too. But I will give Jacoby Smith credit. He got it done. He's got the pedigree, he's got the power. I can't wait to see what he can continue to do in the welterweight division. He's a great athlete. But yeah, definitely got to build him slow because that fight with Nico was a little tougher than the odds makers thought it was. But he's definitely still a name to watch in the welterweight division. And then our opening prelim, we had Jonata Deniz defeating Alvin Guzzi Hines. And look, I called this fight garbage before on my preview video. It wasn't garbage in practice. I got to give Alvin Hines a ton of credit. He looked impressive in there, not necessarily with his skills, but with his toughness and never giving up during the fight. When you see a short notice heavyweight especially come in and like get kind of beat up the way he did early in the fight, a lot of them would have just folded. Hey, I took this on short notice. We'll call it a day. He was fighting to win the entire fight. He came hard at Denise. I came out of it to do the Ryan Russillo meme. I actually came out more impressed with Alvin Hines than Janata Denise. Um, I want to see Alvin Hines fight again. He he's a warrior. Shout out to him. He served a very long prison sentence for armed robbery. After he's gotten out, it seems like he's gotten his life together. 7-1 in MMA. It's a good story. Janata Denise, I don't really. He did not look very impressive to me. He did win the fight, but Alvin Hines won the war of our hearts and minds. Definitely want to watch him fight again soon. Overall, for the month, I am 36, 12, and 1 for the month of June with my fight picks. So, not too shabby. Um, I'll take it. That's a pretty good clip. My bets weren't as successful as that because unfortunately, in all of my bets, I feel like I always had like one or two guys in my parlays that ended up ruining it for me. But hey, 36, 12, and 1 for the month of June for my fight picks. I'll take it. Um, Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned to my channel. There's not any fights this week, no UFC fight nights this week, but I will be working on a historical video about a UFC fighter that I hope people find interesting and intriguing. So stay tuned for that. Um, Please like, comment, subscribe, all the things if you like my video, like my content. And I'll see you soon. I'm Jeff McCrum. I watch MMA sometimes. Peace.